the most important meeting in American history has begun. The fate of a new nation hangs in the balance. Every word matters. Every vote could change everything. And then across the room, a delegate checks his pocket watch, grabs his hat, and walks out the door. Why? Well, because the corn needs harvesting. Welcome to the podcast. I'm David Jolly, and today I'll dive into one of the most frustratingly human moments from the Constitutional Convention of 1787, when practical farming concerns were actually more important than making history. Okay, let's go back to Philadelphia and the summer of 1787. The air is thick and humid. 45 of the brightest minds in America have gathered in the Pennsylvania State House, what we now call Independence Hall. They've been arguing, debating, and compromising for months, trying to fix the broken Articles of Confederation. These men represent 13 very different states with very different interests. You've got merchants from New York, plantation owners from Virginia, and crucially, farmers from, well, everywhere. And here's the thing about farmers in 1787. They don't have the luxury of hiring managers or taking extended vacations. When the crops need harvesting, well, everything else stops. As the summer dragged into late August and early September, something troubling started happening. Delegates began disappearing. Not all at once, mind you, but one by one they'd make their excuses and then head home. The most dramatic example involves several delegates from agricultural states who simply could not ignore the calendar any longer. One of these was William Few from Georgia, a man who fought in the Revolutionary War and helped establish his state's government. Few owned significant farmland, and as September approached, he faced an impossible choice: stay and help birth a nation, or return home to save his crops and his family's livelihood. So put yourself in these men's shoes just for a moment. You've spent your entire adult life building something, not just a farm, but a way of life. Your workers, they depend on you. Your family's financial security rests on bringing in a successful harvest. And remember, this is 1787. There are no weather forecasts, no crop insurance, no safety nets. If you miss the harvest window, well, you could lose everything. But on the other hand, you're literally creating a country. The debates have reached fever pitch. Should states have equal representation in the Senate? How do you count enslaved people for representation? What powers should the president actually have? And, well, these aren't abstract political questions, are they? They're decisions that will actually help shape America. And here's where the story gets truly painful. The delegates who left in late August and early September missed some of the most crucial votes in American history. They missed the final debates over the Electoral College, that complex system that we still use today to elect presidents. They missed arguments over the Commerce Clause, which would later become the foundation for everything from civil rights legislation to economic regulation. And most importantly, many missed the final ratification vote, when 39 delegates signed their names to the Constitution. Can you imagine getting a letter just a few weeks later learning that the document that you had spent months crafting had been finalized without you? That your signature, representing your state and your people, wasn't on the most important document in American history because you were harvesting wheat. But here's what makes this story even more fascinating. Their absence mattered. Every missing vote changed the dynamic of the room. Debates that might have gone differently with full attendance were decided by smaller groups. The final Constitution reflects not just the will of those who stayed, but the silence of those who left. Take the question of state representation. With fewer small state delegates present, did the large states gain more influence in final negotiations? Well, of course, we'll never know, but that possibility haunts some historians to this day. What I love about this story is how beautifully human it is. We often think of the Founding Fathers as, like marble statues, these perfect, dedicated statesmen who sacrificed everything for liberty. And many of them did make enormous sacrifices. But some of them also had mortgages to pay and crops to harvest and mouths to feed. William Few, for instance, did eventually leave the convention early, though he returned to sign the Constitution. Others weren't so fortunate with their timing. They made practical choices that did seem reasonable at the moment, but proved costly to history. This story teaches us something profound about democracy itself. Our system of government was not created by perfect people in perfect circumstances. It was crafted by human beings with human concerns, human limitations, and human pressures. The fact that some delegates chose personal financial security over political participation does not diminish the Constitution's greatness. It actually makes it more remarkable. These imperfect people, dealing with real-world constraints, still manage to create a framework for government that has endured for over 2 centuries. So the next time you're facing a choice between immediate practical needs and long-term important work, remember the delegates who chose harvest over history. Sometimes life forces impossible choices on us. Sometimes we miss out on being part of something bigger because we're busy taking care of something essential. The Constitution survived their absence, and America thrived despite their missing signatures. But their story reminds us that even the most important moments in history are shaped by wonderfully, frustratingly human decisions.